Today, in the nerdy news you need to know about, Concord is fucking dead. It hasn't even been 2 weeks. Is all PlayStation. A first party published. It's dead. It is. You think it's coming back? I don't think so, brother. Okay. And on top of that, it's dead. It is dead. Concord. They made a fucking controller for it. It is dead. Dead. It ain't been 2 weeks, but it'll be. Rocksteady's been hit with layoffs, and what's going on with Xbox game delays? We'll have all this and more because this is Kind of Funny Games Daily. What's up, everybody? Welcome to Kind of Funny Games Daily for Tuesday, September 3rd, 2024. I'm one of your hosts, Greg Miller, alongside Forbes 30 Under 30, a.k.a. the second best baby blues in San Francisco, a.k.a. the shorts-wearing married man went to Mexico, Tim Geddes.
It's me. It's a scorcher outside, Greg.
Not yet. It's going to be.
I mean, it already is.
Is it? When I came
I
this
was
morning,
outside. I was
bad.
uncomfortable. This whole weekend's been uncomfortable.
Yeah.
It's been rough.
Yeah.
It's been rough out here. Rough out here for a lot of people. That little cold open. Intense. I feel where the intensity's coming from. This is wild. This is one of those days you wake up, look at Twitter, I see this, and I go, no, that can't be. This must be some grifter. This must be some fake news.
Check the verification tag. Is this actually the verification tag?
What's going on here? Is there some community note? And it's like, oh no, this is real. This is official.
Yeah.
This is legitimately surprising. And I know a lot of people are like, this isn't surprising at all. We all called it. It actually shutting down this soon?
No, I refuse to accept that as like it's not being surprising. Like no, like the people who did the same thing to me in the comments where I was like, yeah, but it makes sense. I'm like, it might make sense. It's never happens this way. This doesn't happen from PlayStation. You know what I mean? Well, Anthem limped on forever.
Yeah.
Redfall limped on for a while. You know what I mean?
And different business models there too, even with Game Pass existing compared to this being a paid product. Now, everyone was like, I don't know about that. Which, man, I can't wait to get into the exact words and everything because like this.
We don't have to dwell. We can remind everybody that this is Kind of Funny Games Daily each and every weekday on a variety of platforms. We run you through the nerdy video game news you need to know about live on Twitch, YouTube, and podcast services around the globe. If you love what we do, hey, why not support us with the Kind of Funny membership? With the Kind of Funny membership, you can get all of our shows ad-free. You can get good karma for supporting a small business of 11 people. You can get the ability to watch us record our afternoon podcast live as we record them. And you could get an exclusive show known as Gregway as an audio MP3 and YouTube video each and every weekday. If you're watching live on YouTube right now or Twitch, remember you can go to youtube.com/kindoffunnygames to super chat to be part of the show with your thoughts, opinions, and more. Start sending us your Concord hot takes about this being shut down after 2 weeks. 2 weeks! And be part of the show that way. Of course, if you have no bucks to sauce our way, of course, thank you so much for your support. Please like, subscribe, share. Of course, youtube.com/kindoffunnygames, twitch.tv/kindoffunnygames, and our podcast services around the globe. Housekeeping for you. Like I said, we're an 11-person business that's all about live talk shows. We're kicking off your broadcast day today, of course, with Kind of Funny Games Daily. After this, you get the Kind of Funny Games cast, where we will talk. Get it from the horses' mouths. Mm-hmm. Blessing, Roger went to Japan. They met with Kojima. They're going to tell us all about that and show us some videos and stuff. And after that, Mike and Andy are reuniting to stream some Deadlock on Twitch and YouTube. Awesome. If you're a Kind of Funny member, you can get today's Gregway momentarily because I still have to put it together. It is me live reacting to the Concord news. Oh, wow. I recorded the Gregway, ended it, went back to the podcast I was listening to, then saw Barrett's thing at a red light, opened Gregway right back up. And I was like, here we go. We got to get back to this. So I'm going to start with, you're going to be out of time as we go through this whole thing. And then this afternoon, it is the Kinda Funny podcast live for Kinda Funny members. Of course, everybody else can get it tomorrow, YouTube and podcast services. Thank you to our Patreon producers, Delaney Twining and Carl Jacobs. Today, we're brought to you by Dragon Age Vows and Vengeance, the podcast I was listening to, and BetterHelp. But we'll tell you about that later. For now, let's begin the show with what is and forever will be the Roper Report. Time for some news. 5 items on the Roper Report. That one gets in my ear. I don't like it.
Did you hear last Fridays?
No.
Eric Myers brought it with the guitar. It was
wow.
It was awesome. But I like the little whisper. You know what I mean?
I appreciate your input. Bloodhound Gang, remember them?
Oh, of course.
Real quick,
me,
that
baby.
was Roger Kingus Dingus?
Shout
Kingus
to
Dingus,
Dingus, baby.
We know Kingus Dingus quite well. Number one, an important update on Concord. This is Ryan Ellis, game director at Firewalk Studios on the PlayStation blog. Concord fans, we've been listening closely to your feedback since the launch of Concord on PlayStation 5 and PC, and want to thank everyone who has joined the journey aboard the North Star. Your support and passionate community Your support and the passionate community that has grown around the game has meant the world to us. Right there, as I'm reading this, I'm like, okay, they are forcing free to play already.
Yep.
That was where I was like, we're about to go. Okay.
I assumed that as well.
However, while many qualities of the experience resonated with players, we also recognize that other aspects of the game and our initial launch didn't land the way we'd intended. Therefore, at this time, we have decided to take the game offline beginning September 6, 2024, and explore options, including those that will better reach our players. While we determine the best path ahead, Concord sales will cease immediately, and we will begin to offer a full refund for all gamers who have purchased the game for PlayStation 5 or PC. If you purchase the game for PlayStation 5 from the PlayStation Store or PlayStation Direct, a refund will be issued back to your original payment method. Customers who purchase from other digital storefronts will also be refunded. More information about refunds from Steam and Epic can be found below. I don't know if it's worth going through all these, of course. I think it's interesting to jump down to other retailer refunds. For customers who have purchased a physical copy at a retailer location outside of PlayStation directly, please refer to the refund process of your retailer you purchased it from to obtain your refund. Once refunded, players will no longer have access to the game. We'll keep you updated, and thank you again to all the free gunners who have joined us in this Concord galaxy.
Very wild news. And, this is definitely not one of the fun I told you so type moments, even though I feel like this discussion might veer into that vibe, because it has been multiple years of us sitting at this desk talking about Sony's live service strategy and us questioning why, us questioning how, more importantly, can it work? Is it possible for these games to hit the way that they need to when we are seeing countless games come out, knockout cities come out, and then work seemingly for the audience that they are trying to reach, with an understanding of this doesn't need to be Fortnite. This just needs to be, hey, we have a community and we're going to feed that community with quality content that they are going to want to enjoy day in and day out for X amount of time, Y amount of time. But then that Z amount of time doesn't come.
Yeah.
And that is when it's like, okay, well, that game is now gone. And maybe that is a sustainable business structure if you plan for that. If you're like,
what are your
every life
expectations?
has a death. So live service doesn't mean forever. It means for a while it's happening and there's a plan there, and hopefully it can, but if it doesn't, we're built to sustain that. We're built to be okay. But then you have this, Concord, a AAA PlayStation Studios title that they have been talking about for years now, that they have been showcasing in their PlayStation showcases, that they have been presenting as a budget, but still retail priced title in a world where you look at this and all the competitors are free to play.
Yeah.
And we look at that and go, well, that's a move. I wonder what the strategy is here. Is this going to work? I don't think it's going to work. And then here we are. It didn't work. You brought it up earlier. First reaction to this news. Oh, they're going to go free to play. It's that simple. It's definitely not. You have to think through the game, the revenue, all that stuff to make that all work. But yes. And will it end there? I'm sure that at this point, that's the goal. They don't want to they can't just walk away from this without horrible ramifications and closures of studios.
Of course.
So I'm sure they don't want to do that. I'm sure more than just not wanting to close the studio, I'm sure Sony doesn't want to lose the money that they've invested in this game over the last half decade at least, right?
They said 8 years.
8 years.
They said they were working on it for 8 years.
Or almost a decade.
Yeah. Yeah, I think there's so much to unpack here. I think it starts for me personally with, your heart goes out to Firewalk Studios. These people who worked for 8 years in some capacity on this game, finally get this moment, finally get the game out. Again, any game existing is a miracle, let alone actually getting it all the way to being out and having an audience behind it to some degree. And obviously, very small.
Just jumping in there. A game that I would say people like.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think people hate. I don't think people think it's the best thing ever, but the general sentiment, people like this game.
And this was to peel back the curtain on the Gregway that's going to go up eventually today, right? When it was me doing the Gregway normal before the reaction, right? It was somebody asking me about Redfall versus Concord, and is there a bias, right? Why does Xbox get destroyed for this, but people are sad about Concord? Not the closure, just the fact that nobody's playing it. And I was like, well, they're very different, right? Redfall wasn't a good game at launch, and Concord is by all reviews, right? By our audience, by the Kind of Funny panel that plays those kind of games and like those games. They liked it. It just had a million other issues going on in terms of models and support and marketing and yada, yada, yada. But yeah, to remove from all that, like, this is a team that made a good game. Again, I point my finger at PlayStation on this one, that they were this far off the mark on what the audience wants. I think this was part of them chasing the live service trend. We've talked so much about in these shows, right? From the moment they announced that, and we were all like, that doesn't sound good. That's not what we want. And it wasn't then we're going to make you believe in it. It was, no, we're going to go forward and do it. And then you get here and like, clearly in the run up to the launch of Concord, PlayStation did not believe in this game and did not believe in their own push anymore, which is what when I came in today, the first thing I said to Bless when we started lamenting how crazy this is, I was like, if I'm at Haven Studios right now, I am updating my resume and my LinkedIn, because this is going to fucking chilling effect all the way out ripples. And to jump back to this, it's the same thing here where you can sit here and say, like, we're looking into this, that, the other, and blah, blah. The Concord does not come back. I think it's tainted fruit. I think it's tainted ground. I think they are going to work on this for a while. And again, you are looking at months, if not years, to getting into a free-to-play system of where it would work, right? And by the time you get there, you're already a punchline. You're already a joke. I don't think you can No Man's Sky this one. Because again, it's not the quality of the game. It's more the fact that, like, they built this a very specific way to go after a specific thing.
Yeah.
And coming out and being free is not going to lead to, oh, now there's 100,000 concurrents playing it.
Yeah.
It'll be the same thing of like, oh, that fucking game's back? And some people jump in and be excited for it, and then they'll get mad that there's a battle pass, and they'll get mad that they're getting nickeled and dimed on something.
Yeah.
And then everybody else is going to be committed to other environments. Like, I think you see in 6 to 8 months, I think you see, hey, we're closing Firewalk Studio. They gave it their all. You know, we tried to salvage it. We couldn't find a model that would work and actually do this. And I mean, I never in my wildest dreams would have predicted 2 fucking weeks for the actual boxed game that has a controller on store shelves. So maybe I'm being way too optimistic with 6 to 8 months on the studio. I don't know, man.
Yeah, I come at it from I think a bit more optimistic perspective of what they might be able to do with this. And again, I don't think that what I'm about to say is going to result in them staying around. I always forget this. Firewalk, Fire Sprite.
Aloy drinks Sprite.
Okay.
The Aloy people. So Fire Sprite made the climbing game nobody liked.
Gotcha. So I feel like they have options that aren't necessarily going to make them money, but what if they just put the game out for free, just period free, or PlayStation Plus is just the thing that's out there. Like, then it's at least there's a goodwill thing there. There's at least some general interest and sentiment.
I mean, as we are all crazy and like dealing with something you've just done, this is the goodwill move. What they're doing right now is the goodwill move of, all right, cool. This didn't, and I'm talking about PlayStation, whether you like it or hate it or whatever, and we can get to all their problems and their part in this disaster. But it's the fact that they're like, listen, we see people requesting refunds, and we see people trying to play the game and not having enough people to play with. We will just refund everybody the fucking game. Like, go ahead, take it. And I think
crazy.
I think going and putting it free to play or just having it out to be out just doesn't help anybody. I think this is a black mark on PlayStation. You know what I mean? Like, talk about living to the extremes this year. You have fucking Helldivers 2, where everyone is like, holy shit, PlayStation put out a game. It's day and date on PC. It's this awesome live service. The world exists on Twitter. This is amazing. We're all having so much fun. And then you have Concord, where it is the most. You look at it, and again, this is an outsider who doesn't play these games. I look at him like, this is the most milquetoast, generic hero shooter. That's me as somebody who doesn't play it. The people who play it like it, right? But back to it of just like, you have this thing that is just feels like a game out of time. I think even in our review, the guys were talking about this would have done so much better in 2019 if you could have done this there. You could have done that. Like, it's, again, PlayStation set, and this is going to make people mad, but stick with me. PlayStation set the bar for what the single-player narrative video game is, right, with first party, whether it be Naughty Dog or Naughty Dog. Let's
Most
just be honest. It's Naughty Dog. And Last of Us, right? Uncharted was chasing that and doing that. Last of Us, the one that put them into a different stratosphere and changed what the first party makeup looked like. Then so they set that trend. Then you have this arm of PlayStation that appeared to be led by Jim Ryan and what he wanted out there, right? Of let's chase that trend. We have this trend. We made this trend. Let's chase that trend. And it feels like anybody could have told you that wouldn't work because you've seen everyone chase a trend and it not work.
Yeah.
If you're not making the trend or right there at one of the games that's a part of the trend, you're not going to catch up to it. This has always been my argument. I know I'm now bringing in blueberries to an apples oranges conversation, but of like when people are like, man, PlayStation should get back in and try, bring back Killzone and try to become that I'm like, no, they shouldn't. Like, that's just not, you don't need to do that. You have people, just let them play Call of Duty on your platform.
Totally.
It doesn't matter that Xbox owns Call of Duty. And they came in here and rather than just let people play Overwatch on their platform and be happy, they saw dollar signs, they said, let's go. And now they have to eat all this humble fucking pie. And what does this mean for Concord ever coming back? What does this mean for Haven with Fair Games? What does this mean for Bungie with Marathon? Like, all three of those games, but the two that aren't Concord, every fucking preview will now talk about the rake they stepped on here with Concord, and can you believe them on this one?
Yeah.
Can you, if Fair Games is a full price game or a $40 game, can you actually believe it'll be here in 2 weeks?
Yeah. Yeah, that's wild. I think that when it comes to the live service, games as a service situation, like the chasing the trend we've seen happen. We've seen failures left and right.
Yeah.
I think the core of it always goes back to the design of the game and is it good or is it bad? And I feel like they need to stop just chasing the financial plan for the game and start just chasing the like make the game good and then figure out the financial plan on top of that.
Yeah.
And that's when you see the successes. And sure, it takes a lot of time, but that's Destiny, right? Sure, Destiny was talking about its 10-year plan, 7-year plan, whatever it was back in the day. But it all started with hey, we're just gonna like put out a great product that was full price. And that made sense at that time of the game coming out. But now in this new era where there's proven products that are able to go free to play and then from the jump work, a lot of them IP based, things like Marvel Rivals coming out, right?
Yeah.
Very, very, very competitive. It's like you can't ignore the fact that even though they're not exactly similar games, it's like there's a lot of interest and that game is good. That game is hyped. That game has characters and a world that millions and millions of people are interested in already. So
And free.
And it's free.
Yeah.
So how are you going to compete with that? That's the type of stuff where it's free, it's good. People, they already have everything to then make money from people because people are going to want to pay for all the other things because they're enjoying their time. Making people pay up front, you better have the goods. And I mean, clearly they didn't have enough goods here. There wasn't enough interest to get, because you need the player base for a multiplayer game. So until you know you have that, you're just kind of dead in the water. And I think that's that you look at Helldivers, and I feel like Helldivers is another example of, I don't think anybody could have predicted how successful that game was. And again, we've talked about this a lot. You, somebody that has been a proponent of Helldivers since day one, like the original, like you're the only person I ever heard talk about the game.
Thank you.
And you talked about it a lot.
Shout out to Colin.
Absolutely. You guys, the Beyond guys.
Just making sure.
Yes. But you guys loved that shit, like doing the Let's Plays and all that. And anytime Helldivers 2 was talked about in any state of play or anything,
I popped.
You would pop, and I would look at it and I would just be like, hey, Greg's getting a sequel to that game you liked. You know what I mean? Like that was the vibe. And for it to be this thing that is like, I mean, debatably, like you could say the biggest game of 2024, and sure, people might argue you, but like there's an argument to be made, right?
Yeah.
But that all came from they made the game they wanted to make. And then I feel like the financial plan came, if not after, it came deep enough into the design of what that game is to make sense and for it to work.
When you look at these kind of games, and it is like you start to see microtransactions and you're trying to figure out how the jig is up, that we know the corporations look at these kind of games and go, we can make money off of this, right? So then it is this idea of like, well, what came first? Chicken or egg kind of thing, right? Was it the idea, did this studio want to make this kind of game, or was it that the publisher wanted to make money and so they went for this kind of thing?
Yep.
It's just a back and forth that sucks about it. And I still can't get over this of like how crazy this is. Like I can't you can sit here and say, oh, it makes sense and blah, blah. And it's like, I of course I get that this game was so underplayed, that there was no audience there. I get that. And you have to make a move. To think of, again, PlayStation taking this off, like it was very much like they crossed the finish line. They got this game out. And again, there have been lots of games that have been published that weren't good and didn't have an audience that stuck around a lot longer than this to try to get it right, to try to do something. Even to, it's just, this is such a brand new case study.
And
usually we get the case study of this game isn't what we want it to be, so we're gonna let it go until we 2.0 it. Everybody's always ready for Anthem 2.0 or whatever, right? Or until we make it free to play and bring back a bunch of people and give the people who paid something. The fact that they're like, no, it's just done, it's gone, and we're refunding everybody. Outrageous. Sorry.
I was just gonna ask, like, I guess this has not happened before this way. Like, do you think that this is PlayStation making that choice to be like, this is what we need to do right now in order for this to work going forward? We need to do this. Or do you think this is them just being like, we fucked up and this doesn't work? Like, there's a subtle difference there. I just feel like were they at all prepared for this as an outcome potentially? I mean, them canceling Last of Us Online, that's fucking insane to think about.
Yeah.
To have this whole plan and to have the big one, the AAA-est of the things, the one that was going to inherently have the biggest audience, the most interest. And we already know that it works because we've played it before.
Yeah.
We've seen it before. Naughty Dog has a large audience of multiplayer fans, period. They have a gigantic, the biggest audience of single-player fans that would be willing to jump into the multiplayer side even though they normally wouldn't be.
Yeah,
because
I would have been there.
Me too, right? At the very least to like get the story stuff and all that.
Yeah.
That wasn't working, and they pulled the plug on it. And then this game they actually put out and pulled the plug so soon. Like, do you think that there was, before launch, any conversation of, if it doesn't hit this, we're going to have to do this? Was there any premeditation to this?
That's such a great question. And that's such a fly on the wall. We have to be in Herman's office to really know. I would imagine no. I would think, because again, I can only go off of what we've seen in the industry for so many years, where I really feel like if I was on the other side of PlayStation and I just, with the learnings I've seen, right, and I don't have a business degree, as you all know, it would have been, listen, we've crossed in development the point of no return, where not publishing it, we would lose more money than publishing it, kind of thing. So let's just publish it, let's get it out there, let's sell some copies, and then let's get to work on what we're going to do to shock this thing with the 2.0 in 18 months. Or whether it is go to free to play, whether it is for season 3, we put it on PlayStation Plus and yada, yada, yada. Like, there were a bunch of different levers in there that you would traditionally think would get pulled. And the fact that they did this, to me, speaks way more to how abysmal the player count is, which we knew. You saw Paul Tassi reporting on it. You saw plenty of other people hypothesizing based on what PlayStation numbers they could glean from it, right? You saw all of that. So they know that that's bad. And then it's got to be the people requesting refunds. There must have been an enormous number of that. Then it's got to also be the people complaining about not being able to matchmake. It's got to be this thing. It's got to, like, it had to have been so bad. And I do wonder, like, again, we'll never know unless Jason Schreier gets to work out there or whatever. It does feel like the live service push was so Jim Ryan era. Yeah. And so the fact that era is fucking over, you must imagine that when Herman took the role, he's like, well, yeah, we'll go through and see this through. And then you get here and all it is bad news about it. And you're like, fuck it, pull it. And again, like, I think it's such a complicated story because I don't think there are good and bad guys involved in it, right? There's not a right and wrong in it. So I really do feel canceling the game or shelving the game and refunding everybody is what's good for these players who aren't matchmaking, who aren't doing the thing. You know what I mean? I don't think there's this many people who are like, ride or die Concord is, I love Concord. It was more like, oh, this is enjoyable or whatever. But if you're struggling to find a game, that's at the core problem. So you do that, and that's a good move. I don't think you can blame current leadership for these live service choices that previous leadership had made to get us here. We obviously have a million super chats coming through, so thank you so much for wanting to be part of the show. Street Shadow super chat and says, Concord is a failure for Sony, yes, but this also falls on Firewalk, since they were building this game prior to Sony buying it. Yes, yeah, but I don't think we're sitting. I don't think there's a lot of finger pointing to be done right now. Like, everyone was talking about this beforehand, right? Firewalk, once it was published, saying, "Hey, it took us 8 years of this," right? Like, that it's an obscenely long time, and the game, we know how fast video games move. I don't want to blame them for this. Yeah, they built a game that I don't think people really wanted right now, and the business model isn't what people really want right now. That's, You take a shot, you go in the market, you do the thing. Usually, that just means you have an underperforming, unsuccessful video game.
Yeah.
Not that your work is taken down where people can't play it or enjoy it 2 weeks in. Like, that's the part of it's the express nature of this cancellation that is so batshit insane. And again, not insane, like how could they possibly, but it's more than just like, we don't see this. And again, is this now the move? And again, is this now Haven is, they're canceled. You're not doing fair games. We don't want to see this anymore. Is this enough juice for, and again,
Man.
I'm going around with a lot of broad strokes here about inside of PlayStation that I don't know. But is this enough juice where Herman can be like, see, I told you this isn't what people wanted. So now I'm co-CEO. We're canceling the other ones and getting out of that because we don't need this again. Because you can only imagine to then go to the business of what it's doing to the stock and yada, yada, blah, 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 fiscal years and what they're going to have to report. Like, this is just such a fucking quagmire.
Yeah, man. Need a controller.
They made a controller, which again, if you want to talk about how much PlayStation did not believe in Concord, they didn't even send us the controller. Everybody's getting their Astrobot controller. My Astrobot controller's in the mail right now from PlayStation for, the unboxing of, hey, look at this cool thing, right? Didn't even send out Concord controllers. Like this thing was sentenced to death internally.
They made them, though. Like, yeah, internally.
It's a good looking controller.
Yeah, for sure. I just, man, it's like this was a PlayStation game.
Yeah.
They pushed it like a PlayStation game to some extent.
Yeah.
Man.
Let's get some super chats in here, of course. Like I said, to be part of the show, you can super chat on youtube.com/kindafunnygames. Mara super chats and says, there's a typo, but I think is this the best thing they could do in this situation? When/if it ever relaunches, it would no doubt be free to play, but they aren't ready to pivot yet, and leaving the servers actively floundering ain't it. Again, that's what we're talking about. I don't think there's good, and I don't think there's bad. That's the traditional way to do it. The traditional way to do that would be do that. I would, again, if I'm actually trying to make it work, if I'm PlayStation, which is you look at the marketing, they are not actively trying to make it work. I would say that let's pivot to free to play, and then let's do some PlayStation Plus weekends. Let's do some stuff. Let's drop some exclusive goodies in there for the people still playing it. Let's keep some events going, blah, blah, blah. Remember, they talked about having a fucking year of cinematics already done for this.
Yeah.
A fucking year of cinematics. Imagine if you are the worker on that. That's what the other thing come back to, right? Of like, I think about Kevin's wife, Paula, right? And she did not work on Concord, to my knowledge. But she
No, she did.
She did.
She did.
Fuck,
Yep.
There you go. Well, so I don't know. I'm, again, talking out my ass because I'm not a fly on the wall of their house. But I don't know at what point she came on the project. But let's say she came in when it started working on 6 months plus. For once we get to the 6 month mark, then I kick in on what the animations, the vignettes are going to be, right? Those will never be seen, most likely. Even if they go back and free to play it, I imagine they're going to retrofit a lot of that shit and do a bunch. It's like, this is so many people's work just went into the trash can, which is outrageous.
Yeah.
Also, a lot of times companies don't want you to post that so that you don't have necessarily access.
Oh, yeah,
to
yeah,
it.
exactly. Yeah. When you see games, like you think of like, again, Last of Us factions, right? All the people who worked on that have nothing to show for that.
Yep.
They can't put that in their portfolio. They can't go out and do this unless they were the concept artist on the one thing we saw, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I do think that is the right move, but to Greg's point, like it's not as easy as just, we're free to play now. Like the game was not designed that way. Unless they're just literally putting it out free. And like, I do feel like with what you're saying about the PlayStation Plus weekends of getting extra bonuses, getting like extra stuff, like there could be some incentives that the thing exists. Now we need to justify server costs, which are not free, and community upkeep and all the stuff that like there's just letting a game exist doesn't work when it's a multiplayer game like this. So like it's not as simple as no money is okay. There has to be a good amount of money coming in, even from the free to play side of it. So I don't know, but
Bander SN has a joke, but one I want to talk about. How can you say Concord is dead when it's getting a dedicated episode in secret level? That's going to turn things around. Like Tamor tweeted this right before we went live, and I was like, "Oh my god, you're right."
Yeah.
What do you do about that now? Let it ride? Do you pull it? Do you? I mean,
No,
I'm sure
there's maybe not more bizarre, but there's like some other franchises in that are just like, all right, cool. There hasn't been a game in a million years. Who cares?
Tyler James Bay says Concord go free to play with skins of PlayStation characters? ? Again, based on the way we've seen PlayStation throughout this marketing campaign treat this thing like fucking the way the Dursleys treat Harry Potter, like no. No, they would be like, if I'm Herman, I'd be like, all right, you want to do free to play? You get 100,000 concurrents, and then I'll think about giving you a fucking Lombax skin. All right, no, you don't attach any of our successful properties to this. Because think about it, Helldivers still doesn't have that. There's no Kratos armor in Helldivers or anything goofy crazy like that. Now, narratively would have fit, but like there's a bunch of, but it's like, yeah, I would have easily done that. Let's go make fucking money and do that for Helldivers, not for this one. Samson says, is PlayStation afraid of the free to play model? I think absolutely not. I just don't think that that's a switch you throw. Games need to be designed around that. What is the loop? Why are you paying for it? What are you getting? Why? Like, Concord is not as easy as just saying, okay, cool. It's free to play and we're going for it. That's the end of that. I don't think that works that way. More stuff. Logan calling out my Kansas shirt. Got him.
Got him.
Got him. Street Shadow says, catching up to some of the conversations we've already had going on here. Concord is, I already did that one. Okay, so it seems like now we're just into rehashing what we've talked about or all this other stuff. Bran Cake says, is this the next game that has massive layoffs or it gets shut down in 2024? Funny you should say that. Number 2 on the Roper Report. Rocksteady hit by layoffs after Suicide Squad killed the Justice League underperforms. This is Tom Phillips at Eurogamer. Rocksteady staff have told Eurogamer of redundancies at the studio following the underperformance of Suicide Squad kill the Justice League. The company's QA department has seen its size cut almost in half over the past month. Eurogamer understands. From 33 team members to 15. With poor sales of Suicide Squad directly cited as the reason for its restructuring. The job losses extend outside of QA too. One staff member posting publicly on social media over the weekend revealed they had been told they were being made redundant in the middle of their paternity leave. Eurogamer has contacted Suicide Squad publisher Warner Brothers for comment, but has so far not received a response. Rocksteady staff, who requested to remain anonymous, told Eurogamer that the loss of so many roles in the developer's QA department, including team members with specialized knowledge, would leave their remaining colleagues shouldered with more work. There has also been an acknowledgement by Rocksteady's senior management that product quality will now suffer as a result, staff says. Staff members affected by the job cuts include numerous junior staff, but also several team members employed at Rocksteady for more than 5 years.
My God.
Boo.
It's just fucking brutal, man. Like, this shit just keeps happening. And in so many ways, you're looking at it and you're like, well, this is going to happen and that's going to happen and it's going to lead to layoffs. And then that all happens. Going back to story number 1, all that happened. Guess what, Greg? That's going to lead to layoffs, if not entire studio closures.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It's just wild that a company like Rocksteady is not safe. And I know that at this point, like, it's been long enough that Rocksteady does not mean the same thing that it used to mean.
Sure.
And that's very upsetting in and of itself. But this, to me, is, while not a surprise, it is still just like a surprise that they're just still limping on. They're even here, they're saying like, hey, it's going to be an even worse product going forward. Yep. Suicide Squad killed the Justice League.
Worse.
It's going to be worse going forward.
Yeah, 100%.
That's what is healthy for the game, for Rocksteady, for the industry.
Well, this is just the canary in the coal mine, right? Or the latest canary. I don't know how many. We got to stop sending canaries down this coal mine that keep dying.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, clearly, we're landing the Suicide Squad plane a lot earlier than intended, which is why you'd get rid of QA testers, right? Or like, we're not going to be much more content for you to test as we get out of this quagmire again and then start up or go further on whatever project we're working on outside of that. And so, yeah, that's inevitably going to happen when you sit there and you plan for I assume 5 years, whatever the actual Rocksteady Suicide Squad plan was, and then see that, oh, nobody wants this game. This is another game where the market spoke very loudly that this is not something they actually wanted based on gameplay and quality of it. I've seen a lot of the, scuttlebutt from the trolls around the world are like, oh, DEI leads to this. Like, no, that is not what killed Concord. That is not what is killing Suicide Squad. What killed them is different things are killing them. I shouldn't even try to lump it all together, but it's the live service push, right?
I really don't want to go in circles with conversations here, not just for ones we've had today, but for ones we've just had for years. But there was an Avengers game by Crystal Dynamics.
That was, some would say, good.
Yes, again,
some would say 6.5.
Like
6.
Sure. Like, but an Avengers game by Crystal Dynamics, that should be news that you hear and you're like, holy
I can't wait to play
shit.
that single player game.
In the same way that Insomniac Spider-Man, you're like, oh my God, I see it. And then they announce what it is, and you're
You go,
like,
"Ooh,
I don't know. I really don't know about this. Like, that doesn't seem right. And then they announce the plan for it all, and it still doesn't seem right. It's still I wish it was single player. I wish it was just what they're good at and what we know that they can accomplish to amazing heights.
Yeah.
We know that they are capable, and when they have the characters and they have the stories, oh my God, they're gonna nail this. But they're not doing that. They're doing this live service multiplayer thing. But sounds like they have a cool plan. There's a bunch of characters they're going to release. There's going to be a lot of updates. There's going to be a lot of Marvel lore explored at a time where we were still very excited. Everyone was very excited about Marvel in a very different way than we are now. This could work, and then it did not work. And then Rocksteady, Suicide Squad. Again, I'm repeating myself.
Well, they're working on it, and they look over, they go, oh, fuck.
And it's just
oh,
like,
fuck.
So Rocksteady, but it's like even a step behind it. It's like Rocksteady's working on a DC project. Suicide Squad? Okay, later. After the zeitgeist of Suicide Squad, if you could even call it.
I was going to say, if there ever was a zeitgeist
But I mean,
for
there
Suicide
was.
Squad.
Suicide Squad, whether it was for the movie, I mean, it must have been the movie. It became a household name. Harley Quinn became one of, I would say, the most iconic superhero comic characters, period, across the board. And when you're talking about the mainstream.
Yeah.
So, like, it's not like the most bizarre choice, but it does feel like a choice made by how do we make as much money as possible from this instead of like, how do we make the game right? And then we start seeing the game and Captain Boomerang's not throwing a fucking boomerang and it's live service. And everything I said about Avengers also applies to this, but even worse because it doesn't have the, well, maybe this will all happen in this and this. And also, it's 4 fucking years since Avengers. Give or take.
Yeah.
Something like that. It's just...
This is what happens chasing a trend. Like, you got to just go out there and make a game you fucking believe in. And get people
Rocksteady,
to
Crystal
believe in it.
Dynamics.
Don't make them movies. Yeah, exactly. Don't get me started. Instead, I'll let El Captain jump in and get me started on something different. El Captain 22 super chats and says, why didn't Sony see this coming with Concord to the point of not releasing it and writing it off like the Last of Us factions? We're just going to call multiplayer for that. Last of Us factions would have actually been good and done well. I don't know how many times I can fucking say this on the show. No, it wouldn't have been. The Last of Us game was not good and done well, because if it was, it would have come out. I've seen this thing where people on Twitter who worked on it are like, oh, it was the best thing. Or they, no, I don't for a second fucking buy this excuse that Naughty Dog said of, hey, we were working on this game and it's coming, it's great. But then it dawned on us, Tim, that we'd have to support it for years and that would change our studio. So we're stopping. It's like, no, you would have known that ahead of time. And if the game would have been good and done well, there's an easy thing where PlayStation could have looked at the Concord team and said, guess what? That shit's on the shelf. You're doing support from here on out on this game. Naughty Dog's going to go make single player games again, but you're going to pick up this baton and run their seasonal cycle or whatever it is. Well, and I'll throw you a bone. I'm Herman all of a sudden, or Jim Ryan. I'll throw you a bone. We're going to change the narrative on this of like, this is a multiplayer Last of Us game that has an end. So this isn't, you don't need to create new content and new stories and everything like that. Just be making new shirts, new things, give them a tournament ladder and a private lobby and what, like there would have been ways to do this. And I just don't buy. I feel like that is such set dressing. And I'm not saying like they're lying to you, but it's not, people make it sound like this Naughty Dog game was like, you know what? It was about to come out and it was going to be fucking great.
I
it
think
gestated for fucking ever.
Here's the thing. It sucks because there's a lot of nuance to saying is it good or not. And I think the problem is the game fun? Is there a good game there? I'm sure that there was because there was before. We've seen it. We know what Uncharted multiplayer looked. We then know what Last of Us multiplayer looked like. People like that. There's a good game there. But good game needs good systems and also good understanding of what modern gamers expect from modern multiplayer games. And it is constant support in a way that back in the day, back when those games were coming out, that wasn't the case. If you got one round of DLC or season, that was like, oh shit, this game's doing well enough to get this, getting a map pack, getting any more content. Otherwise, you're just playing the same fucking maps over and over and over and over and over again.
Yeah.
And that's fine because that's what games were back then, but they're not anymore. So it requires a lot more investment forever in order for it to be a good game, because otherwise it could be a good game for a weekend, and then it's not good anymore.
Exactly.
And then that's what good means all of a sudden.
Another super chat CJ Splits on it sends in is, will the live service push inevitably ruin Sony Interactive Entertainment Studio prestige? I think, again, back to Naughty Dog, that's why they pulled the plug on it, is that they knew, and I'm using good, bad very liberally, right?
Yep.
And I think fun's a much better way to put it. I don't think they found the fun in Last of Us Factions 2, whatever you want to call it. And I think that would have ruined Naughty Dog's prestige. I think them putting out a multiplayer game, to your point, that's a 7.5. An 8 flat. I think if you're Naughty Dog and you look at that, you'd like, that's got to be like passing the baton of like, I don't want to be on this. I don't want to be project director on this. I don't want to be the person who's leading this game, and it's the first non-9 from Naughty Dog in forever. The first non-90 on Metacritic in forever, right? Like nobody, that would have, in Naughty Dog's eyes, hurt their prestige. I think Sony, in the same breath, again, because I do not believe for a second that this Naughty Dog Factions was so good. But we gotta
real quick.
I think Sony would have said the same thing.
I think that it's not so much that they couldn't find the score. I think the score doesn't matter. I think they couldn't find a way to make sure that they're going to make enough money. Because I feel like what Naughty Dog would love is to be like, hey, we got the 90s. We're also making you cash fucking money, baby.
Yeah.
And I feel like they couldn't find the way to make that cash money in a way that was not just going to be turn into a disaster story immediately, or maybe not immediately, but like 3 months down the line, you know?
Let me pull these two threads together then. I think there's some, and this is going to piss off a lot of people, some of what we're talking about of the threats there with what we've seen with Star Wars Outlaws, where one of the things in our reviews, even if you're not as hard on it as I am, other people are like, well, this is not great and that's not great. And one of the things Barrett and I talked about a lot in it was the idea that they're using a lot of the Ubisoft ideas here, but Massive doesn't do that. So this is kind of like Massive's first Assassin's Creed, so it doesn't feel as good as the modern Assassin's Creed games, right? I feel that is also part of the Naughty Dog conundrum, right? And maybe Concord. I just don't play Concord enough to know about it. But the Naughty Dog thing of, we're making this multiplayer game, but we don't make games as a service, and we don't make Fortnite, and so we don't really know, so we're making those mistakes or those decisions that we don't understand why it would lead to these problems and why those studios that do this all the time don't do those anymore.
Yeah.
I think that's part
absolutely.
of it.
Yeah, that's very well said.
Story number 3 on the Roper Report is going to be some good news. Oh, wait, no, it's a bunch of delays. So instead of jumping right to that, I'll remind you that you can support this 11-person small business through all of the economic headwinds and changes in the video game industry by picking up a Kind of Funny membership. Just $10 gets you all of our shows ad-free. It gets you good karma for supporting a small business. It gets you the ability to watch us record our afternoon podcast live as we record them like the Kind of Funny podcast this afternoon. And of course, you'd get a daily dose of Gregway, like today, me live reacting to the Concord news in my car. But I digress. You're not using your Kind of Funny membership benefits right now, so here's a word from our sponsor. From the award-winning game studio BioWare comes an immersive fantasy series, Dragon Age: Vows and Vengeance. A pair of heroes brought together by fate to embark on a journey of revenge, redemption, and love. Set in the vast world of Thedas, Dragon Age: Vows and Vengeance features key characters from the upcoming game Dragon Age: The Veilguard, rated M for mature. Let's check out a trailer.
So, what's the mark?
The Eye of Kithiska. From the world of Dragon Age comes a new tale.
The eye was crafted centuries ago by a powerful dreamer.
Listen to me. You've been tricked. We have to put this back and leave.
I'm sorry, but I won't let you pay for my mistakes.
The eye will destroy you.
Dragon Age: Vows and Vengeance. Listen and subscribe wherever you get podcasts.
Check out Dragon Age: Vows and Vengeance, an 8-episode immersive fantasy series now at kindafunny.com/dragonage. That's kindafunny.com/dragonage. This episode is brought to you by BetterHelp. What's something you'd love to learn? As an adult, do you make time to learn new things as often as you'd like? Or was that lost in childhood? Kids are always learning and growing, but as adults, sometimes we lose that curiosity. What's something you'd like to learn? Gardening, a new language, or maybe how to finally beat your best friend in bowling. Therapy can help you reconnect with your sense of wonder because your back-to-school era can come at any age. Some of Tim's best friends use BetterHelp and love how helpful it can be for learning positive coping skills and how to set boundaries. It empowers you to be the best version of yourself. It isn't just for those who have experienced a major trauma. If you're thinking of starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online, designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule. Rediscover your curiosity with BetterHelp. Visit BetterHelp.com/kindafunny today for 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/kindafunny. Number 3 on the Roper Report, I got a block of Xbox delays and updates. We'll start with 3A. Anatria, the last song, has been delayed on Xbox. This is a blog post. Hello, maskless ones. We are thrilled to be a few weeks away from Anatria, and tell me if I'm saying it wrong, Chad. The last song launching digitally on PC and PlayStation 5 on September 19th, 2024. We're also very excited to have a physical PlayStation 5 edition coming in the later months. Anatria has been a passion project of ours for years, and we cannot wait to see you bring the fight to the authors to put a finite end to the twisted... what's going on? Blah, blah, blah. Unfortunately, we have to announce an indefinite delay of the Xbox version. Just get to it.
Yeah,
you know?
all the PR talk.
You're just using all the words from the game. I have no
Bandicoot
fucking idea what you're
Insane
talking
Trilogy.
about.
Come on, get the fuck out.
We understand how disappointing this news is to Xbox community. Unfortunately, despite our best efforts and the hard work of our dedicated team, we've encountered challenges that have delayed our release on the Xbox platform. We want to emphasize that this is not a decision we've made lightly. We apologize for any disappointment this may cause and sincerely thank you for your understanding and patience.
And here's where shit gets spicy.
I don't know.
y'all.
I didn't missed all this. So this is all
okay.
breaking news.
Oh
to
yeah,
me.
yeah. No, I've been keeping up with this over the weekend here.
Anatria
Greg.
last song then tweets as well.
Yeah.
We believe that Xbox is blessed with a huge gaming community, and we would love to release Anatria on your platform as fast as possible, as we spent a lot of money and resources to make it happen. But this task is nearly impossible, with Microsoft taking months to reply to us when we have the game ready for submission. If you would like to help, please let Xbox know about our situation. If we had a dedicated Xbox account manager help us out on this issue, this issue would not exist. Thank you so much.
God damn, dude.
It's like, here's the dirty laundry, and we're just going to throw it out.
We're just throwing it out there on Twitter. And, you know,
there.
it's interesting because there's been a lot of conversation in the last couple days, weeks, months, years about the Xbox Series S and X and how it's actually affecting the development of games and games actually releasing because of past promises and parity. And what is that going to look like when we're this deep into the console generation? And we're here now, and we're starting to see a lot of the ramifications of the choices of presenting the Xbox Series as a generation that has parity. And to have games like this now just straight up slinging shit that is probably, I want to believe, coming from a good place, a place of them feeling wronged. I'm unfamiliar with this game. This game might have a very dedicated, excited audience for it or whatever. But to me, this doesn't look like, this isn't the biggest title ever or something where it's like, oh, there's going to be a lot of conversation around it because of the game title. But them coming forward and just being like, hey, this is bullshit that we're not able to get launched because we're having problems developing for the system, which they're not saying it's the Series S, but with all the other conversations around that, it kind of got to put 2 and 2 together, right?
Yeah.
Not having the support then to be able to get it done. It's just more and more L's taken by Xbox. And they're just adding up, and it's small little chip damage here and there, but then there's the big things too. And it just starts creating a very negative picture of like, y'all, this isn't working. We got to fix this. And
so you believe it's strictly because they're talking about the account manager and they can't get anybody. They say they have the builds ready to submit.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I think that it's what it all comes down to me is that there's complications and there's systems in place that I think that take the Series X, Series S conversation out of it. Like, although I do think it's part of my broader statement.
Sure.
I think that Xbox's biggest problem currently across the board is we are in a state where the industry is changing. There are new ideas, there are new concepts, there are new ways to make money, there are new ways to lose money, more than there have ever been before. We just talked about the Concord thing, PlayStation pulling it. We've never seen something like that, but we're going to see more things like that in the future. And there has to be things that haven't been done before because we are in unprecedented times of people trying to release products and make money in different ways. But when you look at Xbox right now, when we are so used to consoles and exclusives and how an ecosystem works in certain ways, and it takes years for that perception to shift and change. And when you now have the understanding that you have an account that is tied to your system, a PSN, an Xbox Live, that didn't make sense in 2003, but it does make sense now. And there are expectations that come with all of that. And when you buy a console, there are expectations that comes from Nintendo because they do their own fucking thing. But there are even then there's expectations that come with that experience. And I think that Xbox keeps putting their foot in their mouths by having to kind of plug the holes when the next problem comes up and making a statement that's true about what they're talking about there, but is vague overall about their strategy.
Yeah.
And that's now happening when it comes to what games are going to be exclusive on PlayStation or Xbox, or when are they actually, is it going to timed exclusive, this, that, whatever. Oh, it's case by case, all of it. It all feels so messy because there's not just a clear statement of like, this is what Xbox is and this is what we're doing, because I don't think they know. I think that they are trying to figure it out. I think that they are day to day just figuring out every single thing. But even the Series S, Series X, Baldur's Gate not coming out, all of that stuff, like it all just
it's more confusion and messy.
It feels so confusing. And there needs to just be a, hey, reset point. Here's who we are. Here's what's happening.
Sure.
Here's what this is going to look like going forward. So it's not a constant every time that something like this comes up, we're asking, oh, why?
Yeah, so Windows Central has more reporting. A community manager known as Creechera said, "We are calm in response to questions and speculation. Quote, I think the person is coming up with their own conclusions based on nothing because we never mentioned Series S and we are not paid by Sony." Then there's Jayama Games CEO Jackie Greco said some stuff as well. Quote, you can ask Xbox why they haven't answered us in 2 months. Obviously, they don't care about Anatria and they don't care about you. The context is open to store page and submission. So it seems like there's a breakdown over on the Xbox side of people actually talking to these devs, which is weird. But yeah,
which is weird.
Well, yeah, you kind of need devs in games, right, to be part of it, the whole thing. So who knows? But yeah, we'll continue to follow and see if Xbox responds. But yeah, Xbox in general is in a place of like, so what's the vision? What are we doing? Yeah. Why buy an Xbox?
And again, a lot of this comes down. God, I know we're going long. There's so much good stuff to talk about. Or so much stuff to talk about, I would say. But a big thing is when you spend so much time acquiring companies and you're out there spending money, but also time more than anything, when your leadership is out there traveling the world for these acquisitions and then having to deal with the lawsuits, having to deal with all the legal battles of what that acquisition looks like, then having to deal with the layoffs and all the closures and the redundancies and figuring out restructuring this and this and this. And you have fucking 47,000 teams to look after.
Yeah.
It's like all of that. Of course there's confusion. Of course there's not.
What if I told you there was another challenge for the Series S?
Go for it.
3B, bringing Dune Awakening to the Xbox Series S will be a challenge, according to Funcom Chief Product Officer. This is Conor Makar at VG247. Of all the upcoming big MMOs coming out in the near future, Dune Awakening appears to be one of the most graphically intensive. In addition, with an emphasis on server meshing, as well as vast open deserts hosting vast PvP battles, it's set up to be a real looker. This is great news for those of us with powerful rigs, but it also means a lot of time is going into making sure the game works on hardware of various levels of power. And to the Xbox Series S, which the game is still set to release on alongside the PS5 and PC. And that is a, quote, challenge, according to Chief Product Officer Scott Jr. Quote, it's one of the reasons we're coming out on PC first. There's a lot of optimizations we need to do before we release on the Xbox. But yeah, Xbox Series S is a challenge, end quote, Junior states in an interview at Gamescom. So there you go. You were trying to get that attached to the other one over there. Now you got it attached to this one.
I mean, I just think it's attached over whether or not it's attached.
It's attached to the Xbox problem.
Yes, exactly. It's like all of, and then we have the next story coming up. That's very similar.
Guys, I'm so sorry to interrupt, guys. This has been one of the most depressing news days.
That's right.
And I have to say, this is really bumming me out.
I know, MegaRan.
Can we get some smiles here? I mean, I'm
ready
know.
to smile.
Let's
you trying to make me smile, MegaRan? You always smile and seeing you, dude. How you doing?
To present some happiness, all right? That is my job today, all right? Because,
Thank you.
By God, this news...
It's supposed to be fun, MegaRan. It's video games. It's supposed to be fun.
I've been in hours of traffic. And then I come here and get nothing but bad news.
Yeah.
All right. We need something to make them smile. And I think I got just the thing. So, my name is MegaRan, and today's my birthday.
What?
Yeah.
Happy birthday, MegaRan.
I wanted to come and actually just... Oh, gosh. I wanted to spend it with some, some good folks and have some good times. And I come in and it's, sad. So, how about we play a song?
Yeah, I love it.
All right,
Play
go
a song.
Now, I'm going to need some help from you guys.
Okay.
All right, I want y'all to stand up. Come on, just like me. All right. We are going to just give yourself a little room. Give yourself a little room. Let's shake off the blues here. And let's play a little jam called Tractor Beam, shall we?
Yes.
Are we ready? I'm going to
Let's do
show
it.
you the actual move. And it's a super simple one. You're just going to do a two-step like this. All right. Is that music going? All right. Okay. This is on Clerks 3.
Yeah!
So shout out to my friend and yours, Kevin Smith. All right. Okay, stop there. Where's the music?
Sorry. You want me to cue it?
Cue it.
You
Run
got
it.
your boombox?
All right. Now, are y'all ready?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. This is what we're going to do. For everybody out there, I don't know, stand up wherever you are. Let's groove a little bit. This track is called Tractor Beam. That's right. Because when we long for the old days of good news in gaming, you just want to pull it back to you like a tractor beam. All right, y'all. So it goes like this. Yeah. Bye, bye, bye. Okay, 1, 2. If I had a tractor beam that way, yeah, I would use it to bring you right back to me. Hey, and I fix everything that's satisfactory. Come on, Greg, keep with me. Let me just get one more try. Oh my God, Greg, you're really bad at this.
I know.
Okay, come on, we can do better. Hey, well, 1 step forward, there's 2 steps backward. Yeah, hey, our love was so solid and now it's fractured. Yeah, we're stuck together just like some magnets. Hey, lost our attraction, don't know what happened. Hey, I hear every word you say, I won't let this go away. I don't know how I'll get through the day. But I know this love is strong, and I know I was so wrong. You don't know what you got until it's gone. If I had a tractor beam, now pull it in like a tractor beam, I would use it to bring you right back to me. Yeah, you got it. And I fix everything unsatisfactory. Much better, right? I got it. Just get one more try. Tim, on the other hand, killing it.
Let's go, baby.
If I had a tractor beam, hey, I would use it to bring you right back to me. And I fix everything unsatisfactory. Hey, well, let me just get one more try. One more try. Okay, everybody, stop the dance. Now we sing. Ba ba body up. Wait a second. You go 1, 2, 3. You go. Ba ba body up. Okay. 1, 2, 3. Let me hear you. Ba ba body up. Okay. One more time. Let me hear you. Ba ba body up. Oh, excellent. Now the rap portion. Yeah. Well, I don't play no baseball, so when I'm at the plate, I don't play it safe, nah. Tryna knock it out the park, take a walk, grab a mark, take my amigos, and now we about to take off. Offset like once in the blue, don't get no idle time, got something to do every day. Check 1 to the 2, tryna bring home something for you, can't run from the truth. That things just ain't the same for gangsters, entertainers. Man, this game is thankless. They once turned to strange danger. Now they telling me get out straight, changing faces. Yeah, I used to run from the pack. They got a back seats till we jump to the back, to the eye of the ball, and they can't fail me. Kinda funny games daily. Hey, back to me. I would use it too. Here we go, guys. Move again. This way. Okay, come on. I fix everything unsatisfactory. Come on, y'all. So let me just get one more try. One more. Okay, now give it a little slide. If I had a tractor beam, yeah, slide with it. I would use it to bring you right back to me. Hey, I fix everything unsatisfactory. Yeah, well, let me just get one more try. Sometimes you gotta really pull out the beam. You gotta pop out and show them. Okay, last time. Ba ba body up. Okay, y'all, let me hear you. Yeah, you go. Ba ba body up. Oh, that's great. 1, 2, 3, a little lower. Ba ba body up. Okay, one last time. Come on. Ba ba body up. Hey, if I had a tractor beam. Thank you.
MegaRan, everybody! MegaRan! Happy birthday. Let's get the happy birthdays in the chat for MegaRan, ladies,
All right.
gentlemen, and
Hope
NDs.
that brightened up the cast a little bit.
Happy birthday. We love you so much, MegaRan.
Thank you,
Thank
guys.
you
I
for
love you
coming.
guys.
You want to stay for
course.
GAMESCAST?
Sure.
All right, cool. We're going to talk about their trip to Japan. It'll be great.
All right. Peace, y'all.
MegaRan, everybody. Listen wherever you get your music, all right?
I love him so much. I mean, we've talked about MegaRan for a very, very, very long time.
Like how we say it like he's not in the room. We've talked about this MegaRan for a long time.
But banger after banger after
Yeah.
banger. The quantity of quality in the discography this man has
100%.
is just absolutely wild. And I feel like he's only getting better. God, now I'm blanking on the name of the wrestling album. I literally just had it in my head, but it's not wrestling, isn't wrestling.
No, wrestling is real. People are fake.
Wrestling's real, people are fake. So
Love it.
freaking good.
Love it.
Just in the last couple weeks, put out his third Black Materia project, which is the Final Fantasy VII series he does. There was the Black Materia, and then there was Black Materia Remake, and now he just put out Black Materia Rebirth, and it's just so freaking good. So freaking good. Everyone go check out
I'm not a
MegaRan.
Final Fantasy fan, but when you tweeted about it and he responded, I went and listened to it. Great album.
It's great stuff, man. All across the board.
I would like the mods in chat to ban everybody who's making fun of my rhythm, all right? I fucking try, everybody. I'm sorry.
you throw
I'm a
yourself out
Sasquatch.
there.
We didn't prep him.
There's just no
with how much
prepping.
of
You
a
just gotta
problem that
jump
is
in.
for you,
I didn't
Greg.
expect it.
No,
When,
I'm saying
when
we didn't
MegaRan was like, I'm in
MegaRan.
town for a show. I'm going to swing by. I'm like, I didn't say you're going to dance.
I love it. Like, my favorite thing in the world about
Greg,
this
keep
is
moving a little
the
closer.
idea of Blessing and Roger in the other room. You know what I mean? It is what it is.
I'll never forget.
Good times are good times, everybody.
Kind of
That's what
funny
matters.
live one when we went to the studio. We didn't even work there yet. We went to the studio to practice or whatever.
Yep.
And Nick let me practice for about 3 minutes. Like, you don't have to be in this if you don't want. I'm like, thank you.
Bye.
Thank God. I did not know how to do this.
He was stopping and clapping louder and louder to keep you on rhythm, and it just was not working.
It's
Oh
okay,
my
y'all.
God. Some good news. 3C,
Yes.
Capcom fighting games are now coming to Xbox next year. Capcom tweeted, "We're happy to announce that after
Someone
technical
said,
discussions."
I don't think the surprise was the issue.
I would have practiced. Jen would have sat there and practiced with me at home. We're happy to announce after technical discussions with our partners at Microsoft, Marvel vs. Capcom Fighting Collection Arcade Classics and Capcom Fighting Collection 2 will release on Xbox One. Both Xbox versions arrive in 2025, so stay tuned for more information.
Hell yes. At the end of the day, what matters most is that Capcom is preserving these games that are going to be re-released. This, to me, feels like a collection that is going to hopefully stand the test of time. I hope it's going to be great. I expect it to be great based on their previous releases, and I don't expect it to be taken offline. I think that this one is going to be one that, I mean, at the very least, there's physical editions. So unless there's some tomfoolery going on, people will be able to play these games in the future, unlike the last time they put Marvel vs. Capcom 2 back out and then delisted it after many years in the, I forgot what the release, I think it was Marvel vs. Capcom 2 HD, whatever, on Xbox Live era of things. So good news for MVC, for all these old Capcom fighting games that are like so important, not just for the history of video games, but also for how much freaking fun they still are to this day. And to the fighting game community that is more vibrant and healthy than it's ever been at this point. So the more being able to go back to some of the classics, the better. And again, we've talked about this a million times in the last couple of years with Mortal Kombat, Street Fighter, and Tekken all putting out banger new releases so close to each other. And we have 2XKO coming out soon from Riot as well. Like, we are in the peak of fighting games right now. And fighting games need one thing: community.
Yeah, I was going to say
You
an audience,
need
right?
an
Yeah,
audience.
yeah.
You need people that are able to play the game. So the more systems these games are on, the better. Especially for more old classic ones that aren't going to have that new mainstream audience that's all there opening weekend and then like lasting with DLC packs and all that stuff, right? So great that it's coming out on Xbox. I want this thing everywhere. Very unfortunate that for whatever reason, this one doesn't seem to be an Xbox Series S thing, but this has to do with
Xbox One.
something with the framework of the Xbox or whatever. It's like this game just wasn't going to come out on Xbox, these games. And now it is. It's just rough, man.
I know it's rough. I know. There's a lot of going on. Backwards compatibility is hard. There's all these things happening. Tim, They left the chat to then super chat their attacks on me. Doug Tastic says Greg Miller has the rhythm of someone with epilepsy in a trance music nightclub, and that one hurts. You know, I did the best I could up here.
Again, as long as you're having fun.
I said
it
I would
doesn't
practice.
matter.
I would have practiced. Somebody said, "What would you practice?" Two-step, all right. I'm trying, everybody out here, all right. I don't fucking claim to be a great dancer or a swimmer. You don't see me saying these things. Why are you coming at me? Why is everybody yelling at me? You know what I mean?
You just hear Kevin in there?
Yeah, I can hear him in there. They fucking bust into the French fry factory you work at. They start dancing. What are you gonna do?
Kevin's voice had that effect. Kevin is laughing so hard right now that like it's hidden that peak of it. It's less a laugh, it's more just a breath. So it's just echoing through the halls of Kind of Funny in a way that I can't place him. I thought he wasn't even in the control room.
Tim, I'm sick of all this big sad news. If I wanted, say, the tiniest news I needed to know about, where would I go?
You go to our last story, the Wii News channel, where we cover all the small news items that you need to know about.
See, I get the rhythm there, but that's a song I've heard a million times. It's just shoulders. I can shoulder dance.
Yeah, I wouldn't call that
Two
rhythm.
steps.
You're just kind of shaking your shoulders. But again, I appreciate it.
I'm an animated GIF more than you got.
Attempts are the most important thing.
Number 5, the Wii News. Coromon Rogue Planet launches 2025 on Switch and mobile and PC. A free Miles Edgeworth skin drops in Among Us on September 9th. Who the fuck is Miles Edgeworth?
Ace Attorney.
Okay. And then the famed Dragon's Dogma and Devil May Cry director leaves Capcom after 30 years.
Dude.
A little bit from Ryan Dinsdale at IGN. Legendary Capcom developer Hideki Itsuno, who most recently directed Dragon's Dogma 2 and Devil May Cry 5, has left the company after more than 30 years. Itsuno announced his departure on Twitter, but assured fans he wasn't quitting video games altogether. He left Capcom in August and will begin a new project in a new environment sometime in September.
I mean, I'm bummed. I want to be happy for him. I hope that this is a good thing. I hope that this turns into like newer projects, better projects, or whatever. Happiness for somebody that has put out many projects that I am infatuated with and have loved. But it is a bummer. And it doesn't make me feel great about a Devil May Cry 6. Because with the way 5 ended, I want this man's vision of what 6 could be. You know?
Yeah. I'm sorry you're not going to get it. And that's it. That was Wii News. We asked people watching live to go to kindoffunny.com/you're wrong. Tell us what we got wrong. Nothing. We're killing it. We're crushing it over here. Super chats, like I said, we got a lot. Of course, super chat doesn't guarantee it'll be read, especially when we're talking about different things in there. We got good stuff in here, some good vibes to close you out. Melodic Quest says, hey guys, here to pay my birthday tax. Happy birthday, MegaRan, and thanks for bringing the good vibes. Thank you, MegaRan. Of course, like I said, go get a MegaRan album. Go on Spotify, listen to Wrestling is Real, People Are Fake. Obviously, Tractor Beam's on there. All the stuff's on there. Support him in Clerks 3.
Listen to the song Grow Up by MegaRan. It is one of my favorite songs, just period, hard stop, I've ever heard in my entire life. And I feel like all of us, especially now, I've only related to the song more as I've grown older and older.
You talked about getting choked up, I think, at this last verse or something. I went and listened to it.
Yeah, there was a, I mean,
that was when you're talking about
more specific. There's just a verse that's just shouting out all of his
Fantasy
accomplishments and stuff that are just so damn good. But anyways.
Joshua Barnett gave a super chat and said to help Greg buy some rhythm. Kebab says MegaRan just single-handedly brought back singing with Shuhei, which I appreciate. And then I'll end with Dcash14, who sums it up, I think, very succinctly. Support the things you love.
Support the things you love, everybody.
Support the things you love, everybody. It's super simple.
I just want to say, like, just very, 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 very top level. I'm wearing an Astrobot shirt right now.
Yeah.
All right. I'm very, very excited for Astrobot. I can't say anything about Astrobot, but I previewed Astrobot at Summer Game Fest. People know how excited I am for this game and like how great I think it is. Single player Sony titles that are like lower budget, different things that aren't necessarily the dad walking simulators or whatever. Money where your mouth is. If it ends up being good and stuff, it's just like, this is the type of game I'm like, I hope this sells, and I don't have the highest faith in it.
Talk more shit about how he looks. Maybe that'll sell it, you know?
I mean, it's fucking lucky I'm wearing the shirt. I'm going to tell you that.
Can't wait to get my controller today. Ladies, gentlemen, and NBs, that's another episode of Kind of Funny Games Daily in the tank. Remember, we're not going anywhere, though. We're all about live talk shows. So we're going to flip for the GAMESCAST, and you can watch Roger and Blessing tell us all about meeting with Hideo Kojima, and MegaRan's going to hang out with us too, and we'll hear all the Japan stories and have a great time. If you're watching or listening later, of course, you can get that GamesCast on youtube.com/kindafunnygames and podcast services around the globe. Then remember, of course, Andy and Mike are streaming Deadlocked after that, so a whole bunch of programming. And then if you're a Kinda Funny member, not only do you get the Gregway eventually when I upload it, you will also get the ability to watch us record the Kinda Funny podcast this afternoon. A big day of programming here, and we couldn't do it without you, so thank you. If you're not able to watch any of that live or whatever, remember youtube.com/kindafunnygames. Like, subscribe, share, podcast services around the globe. It's MegaRan's birthday. Go see him in the Bay Area if you're local. He's playing tonight, or see him when he comes to town for you, or just go buy some merch or listen to his stuff on Spotify, Apple, or etc. For now, I digress. Until next time, it's been our pleasure to serve you.